Well, welcome back everyone. This is Mickey, Hillsville Homestead. I'm starting another project I wanted to share with you of how I'm going to make a raised bed with my compost. So stick with me on this video and I'll speed up the process a little bit, so I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. But check this out and you'll follow along, and maybe you can do your own raised bed the same way. And let's see how everything's going to grow. Now, my youngest son Aiden and my oldest son JD stopped by a couple of days ago, and don't tell them, but a lot of times when I've got a project that is too much for me, I'll kind of hold off on that until somebody luckily comes by and gives me a hand with that. So I'm blessed for that, and I'm really grateful when they do help, even though they don't know that I save those projects for them, but don't tell them. But anyway, I'm going to get started on this raised bed and show you how I do it. I've added another animal to the homestead. I'll put in a little short clip for that so you can watch that while you watch me shovel all of this compost. Now, if you saw my previous video, you've seen where I was talking about how the price of copper has increased, and the antennas that I already have made from the inventory that I previously bought, that price is staying the same. But I was mentioning in the other video that when I get into this new inventory, I'm going to have to go ahead and raise the price because of the increase in the price of the copper, and that way I can still kind of break even on that. So if you order your antennas now at hillsmill.com, you'll get them for the same price, but when that inventory runs out, I'm going to have to go to the new inventory and I'm going to have to raise that price just a little bit. Now, when I get through with this raised bed, I'll show you what I'm going to plant, and then I'm going to also add my Electroculture and my garden antenna to it. Now, it's not mentioned enough, maybe I don't mention it enough, but if you have a problem with slugs and snails, my Electroculture antenna is going to definitely prevent a lot of the damage that they cause. Now, I've read and I've looked into this a lot, and the scientists are not specifically clear of whether it's the frequency or if it's the metal that's in the ground that the slugs and the snails stay away from. But as old wives' tales, and you've probably heard them as well years and years ago, that a lot of people use copper pennies and different types of copper in their garden. And so this has a long history to it. And if you're curious like I am, just look into it and you'll learn a lot that's not being talked about every day. So anyway, I'm going to get started on this raised bed. Watch my little clip for my new animal I've added to the homestead. If you're a new subscriber, I really appreciate you, and I appreciate all of our subscribers. But if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, let me encourage you to subscribe, follow along, and see how I grow a lot of the different things that I grow and the different methods I use with my Electroculture. So stand by and I'm going to get started. How patient are you? All right, you made me knock my rose over. No more. No more. No moss. Milo, you are a pain, boy. All right, that's the last time. We ain't doing it no more. We ain't doing it no more. Didn't put it in my hand. So guys, here's what I'm doing. I'm making this raised bed with this compost, that load of compost that I got. And I'm not sure the nutritional value that's in it. So I'm just gonna use it more as a filler. And then I'm gonna get my compost and add to it for the potatoes to grow into. But I have some leftover Pontiac red. And then I've also got some leftover Kennebecs that I'm gonna plant. So let's see if we can get these in the ground. All right guys, I've got my potatoes laid out. As you can see, I'm gonna cover them with the compost about 4 to 6 inches, and then I'm gonna add my compost to it. You know, one thing about the benefit for creating a new raised bed is planting potatoes in it. I'm not going to heal the potatoes. I'm not going to have to pour dirt to them. So I'm actually going to continue adding compost as they come up through the compost. That way I'll heal them as I add to it. That's a lot easier than having to do it the old-fashioned way. Well, I've got them covered up, probably 2 to 4 inches, 2 to 3 inches. Now I'm going to add another layer and try to get a good 4 to 6 inches on top of the potatoes, and then I'm going to water this in. Well, now I'm going to go get a good wheelbarrow load of my compost, and I'm going to put on top of this to finish it out before I water it in. Well, I got me a wheelbarrow load of my compost. Now I use all my kitchen waste, coffee grounds and all that. And I've got a tumbler that I put all of those kitchen scraps into, and I let that compost over sometimes about a month, month and a half before I add it to the actual piles of compost that I have that consist of my rabbit manure and my chicken manure. And I mix all that up and I let that stay in there for at least, I think this has been there for maybe 4 or 5 months. But I'm going to put a layer on top of this. I've already watered this in a little bit once, and I'm going to put a layer of my compost on top of it and water it in again, and then it's going to be good to go. We're going to sit back and watch it grow. Well, there you have it, guys. That's how I've made my raised bed with my compost. And as you can see, I added my compost to the top of it. I've got my leftover potatoes planted. I've got 14 containers of my potatoes planted along with this raised bed, and follow along. We'll keep up with how it's doing, and we'll see how well it works at the end of the year and how many pounds of potatoes that we can dig out of here. But follow along. I'm already working on another video on my container garden. I've got to get more of my brassicas and get them planted, my carrots, several more things. I'll have that video coming out pretty soon. And everybody, I just want to say that I appreciate you watching the video. I really appreciate all your comments that you have and telling me about the success that you have with your gardens and a lot of the different electroculture methods that you use. And so I'm always appreciative of your comments. So leave me a comment below. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, share, click that notification bell, and give me a thumbs up. And I'm working on the next video, and I hope to see you then. Thank you from Hills Mill Homestead.